Hello and welcome to Citywire Selector's virtual videos. And joining me today is Michelle Scrimgeour, CEO of LGIM. Michelle, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure, it's nice to meet you.
So we are nearing closer to the big climate conference in Glasgow. So what do you think happens after COP26 and beyond conference? What does success look like?
Look, it's a great question, and I'm glad to be talking to you now. I mean, COP26 is obviously happening at a really crucial moment, given what we know is needed in terms of this wholesale shift in economies and society across governments globally in order to really make sure that we are successful with this transition that's needed by 2050. So it's happening at a crucial moment. The next decade will be absolutely critical. And it's fair to say, you know, I like to recognize how far we've come. And actually, businesses have come an awful long way very, very quickly in particular. But things don't stop on the 12th of November after the summit ends. I mean, far from it. Margaryta, what's really important, I think, to recognize, and what I look at financial services, for example, a lot of work has already been happening to join up different parts of financial services. And the umbrella organization, the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, just as an example, is pulling together asset owners, insurers, banks, and of course, asset managers with the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative, which we were an early signatory to. Those have been working on some of the framework requirements, the baseline requirements, if you will, that are really important to drive success in the future. But it's going to require ongoing work, advocacy for change. If I think about some of the things that we've been doing as a business, our conversations with industry colleagues and regulators worldwide, for example, to try and get those really important standards set, strengthening of emissions targets, making sure that we've got mandatory climate reporting in place, making sure that we have the rules, really clear rules to prevent greenwashing. I mean, those are really important. They have to continue. I mean, what would I say in terms of what would success look like post COP? All of that needs to continue post COP. And as asset managers, I think we have a pivotal role to play, but not only in working with our clients to help them decarbonize their portfolios, but also making sure that we're engaging with businesses and holding them accountable on their own net zero transition plans. I mean, that has to continue. But overall, when I think about that important post-COP environment, when we go home from Glasgow, you know, our greatest task actually is to move from pledging to doing, and we need to put into practice what we've promised.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean for your investors and clients, be that financial advisors, pension scheme, or personal investors even?
Well, I mean, Margaryta, the reality is for our clients, they are all understandably at different stages in their own ESG journey, and that's entirely natural. It's also the case that the framework in which we're operating, I think this is what makes it quite hard for asset managers, is still evolving. So the framework, the regulatory framework in which we're working hasn't settled yet, and it's inconsistent and developing across boundaries. That does make it more difficult. Nevertheless, what we can absolutely see is a real groundswell of interest, and not only in the flows that we've seen to date. Bloomberg research says that we're on course to have $50 trillion of assets under management by 2025 in ESG strategies. That'll be around a third of the global assets under management. So momentum is there. What I would say is that we're also seeing different kinds of interest emerging. And for example, in Europe, when we talk to individual clients, to fund selectors, themes are really interesting. Some of the renewable themes, clean energy, battery technology, hydrogen economy. We've seen that through some of our ETF distribution this year. We've had around $1.5 billion into those funds this year. When we talk to some of our wealth clients, some of our private clients in the UK, for example, those conversations tend to be more about sustainability, more about how can we see change through active engagement. And then again, when I look at some of our pension fund clients who may be at slightly more advanced stages, pension funds in their own assets or even for balance sheet assets, the conversation is more about how do they transition their existing assets? How do we work with them to set realistic decarbonisation goals? And there's really also there a very important education piece. Nevertheless, the consistent thing that I would say to you is that there is momentum, there's genuine interest, and our job is to work with clients as we evolve together on this journey.
Mm-hmm. And LGIM focuses on climate solutions quite heavily, and you've mentioned several products that you run that tap into renewable energy, for example. Given your focus on climate, how do you think your proposition, investment proposition specifically, is going to be evolving going forward? Where your focus is going to be? Because it's not just about renewables. COP is not just about renewables.
No, I mean, this is, if you believe the numbers, $50 trillion of ESG assets under management, of around a third of the assets globally by 2025, then what that tells you is there is momentum, and that we all as asset managers need to think about not just the products that are dedicated to climate, but how we transition the portfolios that we're managing today on behalf of our clients in order to get them into the right shape over time. And it is a transition. I think it's really important to recognize this is not something that happens overnight. You can't export the problem. We have to be responsible in the way that we invest. And we have to do that in concert with our clients. After all, we are agents. So we need to work with our clients, with their portfolios, to get those in shape today, the ones that we're currently managing, and then work with our clients on what they want to see. And for sure, for some of our clients, that will be investing in real assets. It's real tangible assets. And when I look, for example, at what we're seeing with our real assets team, a genuine commitment already. We are leaders in this area, not only to greening the investments we already have, but to looking at how we can ensure that where we're investing in the future is also going to be in the right way. As an organization, L&G invests heavily into parts of the economy that need it. And we are very, very clear that investing in the right way to build back better is also important. That's meaningful for the economy. But underneath it all, we're an asset manager. Our job is to manage money on behalf of our clients in the way that works for our clients. And that is going to take many years of collaboration. And this is a start, but it's only a start.
Thank you, Michelle, for joining us today.
It's my absolute pleasure, and it's great to see you. Thank you.